Christina Universe Citizen presents Truth is Not an Attainment, September 2nd, 2022. In a world of seemingly never-ending, unbalanced interrelationships, from one moment to the next, and with the prospects of eventually realizing the evolution of a true democracy from a fresh start to replace the obsolete quasi democracies, fortunately, the planet's friendly genius R. Buckminster Fuller's Synergetics might be the most logical approach to it. From moment to moment, as humans observing and experiencing the locally occurring events persist as the least obvious, potentially regenerative integrity to some discernible degree of the TLBSWME, truth, love, beauty, symmetry, wisdom, maximum economy. It is the truth that is a direction, a relationship, a conceptuality of the product zero that is not an attainment. Truth is what the individual human imagination's consciousness evolution tries to figure out and to factor out the ongoing deceptions as the PRJWBCS, politics, religion, justice, war, belief complex schemes occur in scenario universes underway human events. Among human events is the EIS-EDP, experiences, intuitions, speculations, experiments, discoveries, productions, the irreversible succession that is self-regenerative throughout our information-gathering local problem-solving process that is both irreversible and non-identically repetitive. Synergetics 502.22. Experience always comes before thinking. Thinking is setting aside irrelevance as a mind's systemic thought considers and reconsiders the underway events. The minimum thinkable set is a conceptuality of the tetrahedron. The geometry of thinking, therefore, coincides with systemic thoughts, awareness of self and of otherness, to varying degrees of clarity that more consciously can involve the conceptuality of geometric models of energy events as essential generalized content that induces metaphysical generalized conceptioning, isotropic vector equilibrium matrix fields, unlike anything that previously was environmentally extrapolated into the individual's lifetime experiences. Events are changes of interrelationships between things in a system, and so the thing in this connotation is the closest thing humans will ever know to eternity, and the eternal omniscient mind is zero pulsation in the vector equilibrium. While the tetrahedron is a structural system, the vector equilibrium is not a structure, but it is a referential frame of conceptual relationships at which nature never pauses. The vector equilibrium is a conceptuality as the truth's exactitude is approached. Logically, metaphysical intellect as a function of eons, omni-rational universe, is the starting point for happenings or non-happenings, as we can read in Synergetics 503.03, considering the vector equilibrium as the empty theater, an empty circus, an empty universe, becomes more correlatively familiar to our consciously induced awareness of the EISEDP, because it is ready to accommodate any act and any audience. It is the central symmetry through which balanced asymmetries can be recognized, pulsatingly and complexly correlative to intercompensating and synchronizing the event-filled human condition. The VE vector equilibrium is a potential replacement model for the obsolete scales of justice that, in truth, do not provide our always partially overlapping generations a model of exact balance, but continues usurping our humanity's inherent need to evolve out of the fault-finding scenarios, primarily because the cost of doing so in every event turns out to contradict the metaphysical intellect as a function of omni-rational universe's predominantly metaphysical objectives to satisfy our individual curiosities concerning the most economical way systems behave relative to unity and self in universe. Thus far, we have a tetrahedron as the minimum thinkable set and minimum structural system of omni-rational universe, and the vector equilibrium as an empty set tetrahedron. This term, set, is what humans traffic in, as Bucky details this in the R. Buckminster Fuller Synergetics Dictionary's long list of applicable uses, from central set to intertransformability system sets, not to forget the non-simultaneity of imagination's memory sets, the TV sets, the recall sets, and certain incoming sets. As to the vector equilibria, as the empty set tetrahedra of universe, awareness of this phenomenon relates to zero frequency as the tetrahedra's four planes pass through the opposite nuclear vertex, having no volume. Synergetics 415.45 and Synergetics 905.33. Consciousness of being is potentially evolving as humans coexist. Most important, with respect to the metaphysical generalized conceptioning fields of thought that is induced by the generalized content of disseminated information, that metaphysical intellect as a function of omni-rational universe eventually recognizes is what propagates the problems of consciousness evolution correlatively to the geometry of thinking. Synergetics is the geometry of thinking that R. Buckminster Fuller writes extensively about in his online publication on R.W. Gray's server as a project. Our Humanity Everywhere, the Internet provides access to the table of contents. Thank you for your attentive audience. Together we can learn more about anything and everything that always requires synergy and energy in one form of it or another. Fortunately, Synergetics Online by Bucky Fuller lists an index, table of contents, illustrations, and geometric models for our individual recognition to conceptualize as we integrate and reintegrate memory, store and restore timeless zero-phase unity throughout the reading and writing universal communications process. Synergetics 311.18. Links to this podcast inspirations are Synergetics Table of Contents, Synergetics 311.18, Synergetics 502.22, Synergetics 503.03, Synergetics 905.33, Music, my co-writer backing tracks, Organic Love from Drums on Demand. Contact me, Christina Universe Citizen, at gmail.com.